7. Pause.
Leonard Lami's theorem.
You're right.
That is correct.
Wow.
Who am I?
Yes.
The National Science and Maths Quiz is almost 30 years now. How long have you been watching the Science and Maths Quiz? How many contests have you watched so far?
The National Science and Maths Quiz, nsmq for short. The National Science and Maths Quiz is a quiz competition that is being organized annually, whereby students from various senior high schools compete amongst themselves in the fields of mathematics and sciences to show their brilliance and intellect. The National Science and Maths Quiz is one of the most influential and popular quizzes ever to be organized in this country. Here are some few things I bet you didn't know about the Science and Maths Quiz.
I contested in the National Science and Maths Quiz in the year 2020, but before then I was very enthusiastic about this quiz competition. So I was following my seniors since I was in my first year in the senior high school. So it's been 3 years until it was my time to contest for the school. So I think I know much and I've experienced much about this quiz something. Most people have this perception that the quiz competition is only theory based, it's theory oriented, and it's all about oral quizzing, oral questions and answers, that's all. But there is a part of this quiz competition where people don't pay much attention to, which is the SciTech fair. Few days before the Science and Maths Quiz, the students from various senior high schools are to put up projects using their engineering skills, their robotic skills, their programming skills to create machines, to create robots, and which are so nice. Sometimes they even create maybe computer programs which are very practical parts, and because most people don't pay much attention to that, all they just see is that people sitting on stage and being asked questions and being answering and all that, but they don't pay much attention to this part. So these students put up this project, they bring up these machines and all that, and they do it in a form of exhibition. So people come and take a look, they come and see what these students have done, and it's very creative. You can see the students are thinking, they are doing a more practical form of thing. They are doing a more practical thing where people just don't pay much attention to that. All they just see is just the broadcasting of the quiz competition on stage, but there is more to that. So it's not only theory based, it's also practical oriented as well.
Most people also say the National Science and Maths Quiz is a chew and pour competition, but it is not so. Most of the definitions or answers in the textbooks used in the senior high schools are not usually accepted on stage. The mistress requires you to be much more technical and show that you know what you are saying. So most of these senior high schools use foreign textbooks, college books to train their students, not only the normal textbooks that is being used by everybody in the senior high schools. Maybe there might be some answers that when you deliver from them, or you pick up some answers or definitions from them, they might be accepted sometime, but most of the time, what I have seen, the contest I've watched so far, most of them, sometimes the madam or the mistress does not accept all the answers. Sometimes she requires some one or two things to mean that you know what you are saying. So it's more like you have to know what you are saying. You know what you are saying. It's not purely memorization of definitions and all that. Sometimes, for example, maybe they might ask you a particular question, maybe about what is cellular respiration, and you might go by the normal definition that's given in the textbooks, and you're familiar with the textbooks. You might give those definitions, but no, there is more technical answers that is being required. It's being required of you, and you don't see this until you come to the university, the first year in the university, where you do this general biology or general chemistry stuff. That's where you see those definitions that are being delivered in the senior high school, that are being delivered in the quiz. That's where you start to see them, meaning this is more technical, more authentic sort of definitions. I've observed such a thing in 2018 National Science and Math Quiz. I've forgotten the schools, but such a thing happened. A guy gave a definition of cellular respiration and it wasn't accepted. But in the textbook, it is so. But when you mount on the stage, it's a different thing altogether. You have to show that you know what you are saying. Give more. Sometimes you have to give an example, or sometimes give more explanation to show the quiz mistress you know what you are saying. So it's more technical. It's not about chew and pour. It's not always about chew and pour, although sometimes or some parts maybe you might chew and pour because of one or two reasons, but most of the time they require more technical answers from the contestants.
Now let's come to the calculation part. We see students doing some, playing with numbers, coming out with calculations and all that. What's the secret is that most of the times the calculations that is being done is within some kind of trend. So most of the numbers being given are in some form. They are, let's say in like multiples of 5, or 0.5, 0.75, 0.25 and all that. So those numbers are usually easier to divide, or 0.3 and all that. So they don't usually give you like much decimals, like very, very complicated numbers. They give you just simple answers where you can divide and you can play with them. So it's just the matter of being smart. You are just smart and very fast with your calculation. So it's not maybe some extraordinary or some magical something about. It's just about your smartness. But the numbers that are being given, the decimals that are being given, are usually easier to divide. They are usually easier to multiply or do any form of arithmetics with them. Another thing people don't usually recognize is that before the quiz competition, before the cameras are being set on the students, they allow them some time to come to the stage to write some things down. So this is the time some students choose to write, to draw their periodic table, write formulas, write whatever they need. Some people go to the extent of write some decimal, maybe 1/17, the decimals, 1 over this, 1 over that, 1 over that. They do all these charts. They can do the truth table, where they sometimes they even use it at the round 4. That's the true or false stage. They have some table. Logic, they use, some people draw the logic, the truth table, and then they usually use it. So people don't usually see this because it's not being casted. They usually do these things before the camera is being set on the students. At the beginning of the quiz, they come to the stage, they do everything, they go back, and then they come to the stage again. This is the truth about the National Science and Maths Quiz you probably didn't know about, and I hope your misconceptions about the National Science and Maths Quiz have been cleared. It is not about students being or having some kind of magic. It's about them being tactical, them being gifted and smart. And it is not that the Science and Maths Quiz is only theory based. There is a practical side you actually are not paying attention to, or most people are not actually paying much attention to. And from now, I hope you appreciate the beauty of the National Science and Maths Quiz. Thanks for watching this video.